participated in the Red Sea Film Festival.
Those achievements weren't the most important part.
It was all for one purpose, to help people.
Telling my story in my own voice. Imagine this. It's 2015, you're about 5 years old, and you get put on a plane. A few hours later, this plane lands, and now you're in the backseat of a car. Your face pressed against the window, and as far as your 5-year-old body can lift itself up, you look outside. All you see are tall buildings and some very unfamiliar streets. The car stops at a gated community, and as everyone else is loading luggage off the car, your mom notices some kids that seem to be your age playing outside. She pushes you and says, "Go introduce yourself." And so you do. You gather up all the courage a 5-year-old could possibly accumulate, and you walk up to them. You wave hi. The first words you hear aren't, "What's your name?" or "Are you new?" but rather, "Why do you look like that?" and "Why is your hair so nappy?" And just like that, you feel ashamed, as though you're invading this place that you're not allowed to be yourself in. At that age, I didn't have the vocabulary to describe what was happening to me. There was only that feeling of being too different. Later on, I learned a term for this. Racism is prejudice, discrimination, or hatred towards an individual because of their color, ethnicity, or national origin. A definition sounds neat, compact, contained even, but living through it is none of these things. Because when you're that young, you immediately jump to the conclusion of, what's wrong with me? And that, to me, is one of the cruelest things about racism. It's not always violence or shouting. Sometimes it's just the voice of another child. In a world full of bigotry, non-Black people are raised to be anti-Black. And for those of us exposed to this, we're all taught that lighter is better. And that teaches you to adopt the idea of having to be twice as good to earn half as much the respect. And when you learn to survive that way, you can mistake being used for being valued. Sometimes racism can arrive hidden behind a joke or a backhanded compliment. And people tend to dismiss these moments as something that's simple. But these moments don't stand on their own. They're not just a tiny joke. They come from the same place of prejudice and hatred. And that hatred can grow when it's ignored. And it can grow into something even bigger. And that's why choosing to stay silent is never just neutral. The people that changed our history understood this. Martin Luther King Jr. fought with this exact purpose because he warned about inaction and how silence can just allow injustice to keep growing. Rosa Parks stood and she used her voice and fought for basic human rights in a time where everyone wanted to deny them. Black people today stand in spaces we were never once meant to enter. We're doctors, engineers, professors, presidents even. And we save lives and we make discoveries. And we don't just survive in these fields, but we excel at them. And without those who came before me, I wouldn't be standing before you today with immense pride and gratitude, telling my story in my own voice. We live in a world of great diversity, 197 countries, over 7,000 living languages. Being different should not determine who's worthy of kindness. Being different should not determine who's worthy of dignity. And being different should most definitely not determine who is worthy of safety. Us humans are different for a reason. And I say that reason is because it's meant to bring us even closer. I hope that we grow to see each other as much more than our appearances or origins. And I truly hope no child has to ever perceive their difference as something to be ashamed of ever again. Thank you.